Good morning. Have you ever wondered what it means to be ChatGPT famous? And more importantly, how do you get these tools to recommend you and your business? I was at a networking event yesterday and there was some breakout groups that we did, some mastermind groups. And I was talking about the fact that I want to get in front of more people and spread the word about how we can use tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, AI overviews to get our business recommended and to connect with people when they're actually searching for what we sell. And one of the people in the group actually said, "Oh, I was nearly ChatGPT famous." And I was like, "Okay, what's that mean?" And she explained that she was a therapist, I think, and she'd had a new client come through. And they had said to them that they'd typed into ChatGPT and it had recommended them. And she was over the moon, and she said, she was celebrating and she was telling all her friends and she was sort of going mad about it. And all her friends were like, "Oh, that's amazing. How did you do that?" And it was like this magical thing to actually get recommended by ChatGPT. And then it turned out when the client actually came through to her, it turned out that they didn't find them through ChatGPT and it was another way that she'd found them. But either way, this is what is happening. People are using AI search, whether that is ChatGPT or they're just doing a regular search in Google and your website is showing up in the AI overview at the top. And we've got the new AI mode coming very, very soon in the UK. If you're in the US, you may already have it. And this changes everything. This changes everything about the way people will search really about the results that people will get. So they may use different tools to search. People will still always be searching. That's not going away. People will always want information. They will always want to solve a problem. They will always want to buy things. And it's just really the way that information is delivered. That's what's actually changing, really. So one of the big things that sort of came up from this, I had this conversation lots of times yesterday about the power of what's happening with AI search. And what I kept saying, I said this over and over again, I felt like a bit of a broken record, was that if you think back to the late 90s, if you're that old, if you're showing your age there, but either way, back in the late 90s, there were businesses that didn't go onto the internet and there were businesses that did. And the businesses that did, that embraced it, that went out and got even a simple website, started using that, were the ones that really soared. And we're at that point as well now. If you can get ahead of the curve, start getting recommended by AI search and get your business on there. If you're just doing slightly more than your competitors, and I always say this with SEO and with websites and everything we're doing with marketing, you just need to be doing a little bit more than your competition, especially if you're a local business, especially if you don't need to connect with the masses. You just need the right people and you just need a steady stream of clients coming into your business. Then this is a real opportunity, really. Thinking about this and thinking about how we can actually get ChatGPT to recommend our business, I've had a couple of episodes around this. I have a workshop on this as well, where we'll actually dive into what this really means in terms of actually how to get your business recommended. But what does it actually mean? So being ChatGPT famous is, from my point of view, what I understood this person's the way that she was thinking about it. Was it like it was some magical thing that just she had no idea how it had happened? Obviously, it hadn't actually happened with that business, but this is something that came up in a chat that I'm in as well yesterday, where it was a couple of people saying, so somebody saying, "I had a new client today and she found me through ChatGPT," and then somebody else who and no, they didn't find, with the first person, they'd actually, the type of facial that they did had been recommended by ChatGPT, and then the second one who chimed in a reply to that said, ChatGPT recommended my salon as the best local place to come for this facial. And this is just amazing. When I hear this happening, I was like, big celebration dance. This is fantastic. This is what we want to be happening, because it means if realistically, the things that you need to do to show up on ChatGPT, a lot of that is your foundations of SEO. So you will still be showing up for people searching on Google, because that's not going away. People don't change habits overnight, and it is so ingrained in us, Google search, and that's why we have a verb for it. There's a reason that we say, "I'm going to go and Google it." I was listening to some training the other day, and the person was saying, "Yeah, I Googled it," and she was actually talking about ChatGPT. So I Googled it, and then ChatGPT told me. People use that for the general term for search to go and Google it. I guess a bit like Hoover when we actually mean vacuum cleaner. So it's really interesting that how we can actually apply this to our businesses, and thinking about the fact that Google search is not going away. So Why would we want our business to be recommended by ChatGPT? I think one of the big things is that it kind of takes away a lot of the research that people are doing. So before, people would type something into Google, and I say before, this is, as I say, this hasn't changed completely. Still more than 90% of searches that go through a search engine go through Google. So people are still out there using Google. But what would normally happen with traditional search is people would ask a question of, where can I get a facial for my dehydrated skin or something like that? And then Google would deliver 10 results, and then that person would go through and maybe look at the different businesses and look at the majority of people would click on the business in position 1. So that's the one that's going to get the most people coming through to it. And then all of those other businesses there, the ones that are in the map, that if they've got a Google business profile that's well optimized, people would click on that. But they would then have to make their own decisions and do a bit more research on which one out of those 10 recommendations on page 1 of Google should they actually go for. And they'd maybe be looking at the number of reviews, they'd look at whether they liked the website, they'd maybe go off and check out their social media, and they would make that decision. What it does when people use AI to search for this is it actually goes off and does all those searches for you. It does the research for you, and then it recommends either 1, 2 or 3 or something results based on what I know about you, based on what you need, based on what you've asked. This is what I consider the best solution. And what that then does is it immediately helps with that trust. So if you actually can get your business recommended in AI, then people are much more likely to trust it. As much as AI does hallucinate and doesn't always necessarily give us the answers that are 100% true, in this kind of circumstance where it's taken us through to an actual business, people are going to believe that so much more. And it's such a boost for the likelihood of somebody actually converting, booking an appointment, buying from you, joining your email list, whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do there, then that is really, really helpful. So a lot of businesses will find that they'll get traffic slumps as things move over. So especially businesses that have been relying on lots of blog traffic and lots of informational queries coming through to their website, because they will start to be answered within the search results pages. We've all seen it where you ask a question and you'll have the little AI overview at the top, and it will actually be answering the question directly there. So you don't then need to go through to the website to get the answers. A bit like years ago, we used to have to go through to a weather website to find out what the weather is today, or go through to a currency converter website if you wanted to convert pounds to dollars. Whereas now that all just happens directly in the Google search. And it's the same sort of thing there, that actually if somebody's searching for something informational and the AI overviews can deliver that result, then it will do. That's not to say that it's not important for your business to be one of those ones that are actually being drawn on for those AI search results. That can still be really helpful. You still may find that you do get some clicks through to that, but either way, it's all helping to enhance you actually showing up. The more you can show up, the more likelihood of people actually coming through to your website, the more likelihood as well that these AI tools, whether that is ChatGPT or Google, is actually understanding that you know what you're talking about, you are an authority, you are a place to be quoted. Because then that way, if they're quoting you on that, then also they're much more likely to quote you on something that relates to that is something where people would actually want to go through and buy, really. So it's something that as things change, and certainly as AI mode comes in, that's going to be more like, it will, if somebody asks a question, it will almost deliver like a mini blog post for them, which will then curate all the answers and then just deliver them a very succinct result, and just actually give them the answer to what they need. Eventually we'll get to the point where it probably will go through and make a purchase for them as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like I definitely, like if I was saying to it to recommend some travel plans or something like that, I'm not sure that I would want that to all be completely automated. But who knows, you know, when we've all got robot butlers, then maybe we will trust them to do these things for us, maybe. So thinking about how the tools choose who to recommend, it's not random, it's not magic, definitely not magic. It's magical when it actually happens, but it's not magic getting that to happen. So the foundations of this is making sure that your SEO is in place, making sure that the basics of your website is actually set up in a way that it's structured, You've got your page hierarchy as it should be. I've talked about this multiple times. It's really important on your website. Your website pages, thinking about them like an English essay, you'd have one heading at the top. If you were writing an essay, you would have a heading. That would be your main heading. That would be your H1 heading. You set that in your website builder when you go in, and it gives you the option of actually making the text bigger or smaller. That's how we usually use them, and it kind of sets us up to fail a little bit, really. And this is one of the things I can always tell whether people have done much with their SEO because of the page hierarchy. But what we want to be seeing is one H1 heading, ideally containing what target phrase, target keyword you're actually wanting that page to show up for. And then within that, you'd then maybe have some H2 headings, which may contain that key phrase once in one of those headings, maybe somewhere a bit lower down the page. Or it would then also contain similes, different ways of saying it, very, very much related phrases in there as well. So basically what you're doing then is showing that this page is about this topic, and these are the ways that this is also related. So it helps the bots and people, when people are reading it as well, helps them to understand why you are the authority, that you know what you're talking about, that this isn't just some random article generated by ChatGPT. So that having that in there, so then you might have some H2s. Within that, you may then have a few H3s within there. If you've got subtopics within those subheadings, then you'd have that in there as well. Aside from that, all of the rest of the text on the page would just be set as paragraph text. So Google knows from going into that page, these are the most important points, and it can really help to understand what this page is about and what this needs to be shown up in Google search results for. You'd have your page titles and your descriptions set properly as well. So make sure that they're actually making the most of what you've got available there. Your page titles, ideally you want to keep it around 60, 65 characters if you can. Definitely between like minimum 35, you've got up to 70, normally around 60, 65 is good to do for that. And page descriptions, Google doesn't always honor what we put in our page description, but ideally what that needs to be is something that's going to encourage people to click through from that search results page, and that wants to be around 135 characters up to 155 characters for that one. And if you set something in there and it doesn't really line up with what that page is actually about, then Google may rewrite that for you anyway. So Google will then just take a snippet from the page and use that as the page description as well. Quite often I see websites where these are either blank or very, very basic, or just like repeating the business name 3 or 4 times over. So there's so many ways that you can use this to really help. Structured data, making sure that your schema markup, which sounds very technical, is something that goes into the back end of a website, and it's where the main website builder, the main search engines rather, back in the early days of the internet, got together and decided on this code, which helps whatever bot is reading through your website to understand more about the data on your website in a more structured way. It's really important. Again, a lot of businesses aren't doing this. A lot of websites aren't doing this. A lot of website builders do this in the background without you realizing, but there's so much you can put in there, especially if you're selling products, if you're selling services, if you're a local business, if you are a sort of personal brand and you have a lot out there about you, then making sure that that is all in there, then that can make a massive, massive difference. You can even add things like your reviews in there as well. So this is all showing why you're a trusted business, which is one of the most important things with AI search. So it's not just about that. You get your SEO basics in place. You make sure that you have a website that loads fast, that is a pleasure to use, that is easy to use. It's got a really good user experience. Very simple navigation, that it's easy for bots and for people to actually navigate your website, understand the pages, understand how they link together as well. And that's sort of the basics. That's the things that if you want this to happen, if you want to be recommended by ChatGPT, you need to have that in place as a given, really. And then it's also making sure as well that website content is showing what you do. It's showing what you do, who you help, how you help them, the transformation that you give. And I see this a lot where businesses are really talking about the problems that they solve over on their social media accounts, and then you come to their website and they're not really talking about that at all. They're not really talking about how they help people in very, very plain language. And all of this is plain conversational language as well, because the big difference when people are searching in AI tools is they're going to be asking longer questions. They're going to be using that more conversational language, and the results that are delivered back as well are delivered more conversationally as well. So just think about it as we're trying to do this. We're trying to get everything in place in the back end to help Google and help bots to understand our website. But ultimately what they're trying to do is help people understand our websites as well. The other thing that we need to have in place for our websites or for our businesses, and for especially for local businesses, to help AI tools to understand us, is having your Google business profile in place, making sure that you've got your local map all set up with everything that's available in there. A lot of times people just ignore it and ignore a lot of the tools that are available there. Making sure that you've got that in there. If you've added your services, if you've got that available, you've got added your products in there as well. If you've got events coming up in your business, you add those in as well. Making sure that your categories are set properly. Make sure that you're using all the categories that you can. Make sure you're asking for reviews. Reputation management is a big part of this, and making sure that you are that trusted business. And reviews and showing those trust signals are really important. This is one of the places when AI is going to be looking for local businesses to recommend. This is one of the places that is going to massively draw information from Google Business Profile and anything where you are actually showing up on the maps as well. So making sure as well that the content on your website is helpful. I think that's a big thing. Does it actually answer the search that people are searching for? So does it tell people why this particular service, why this facial is going to help my dehydrated skin? Does it have that in very plain language on your website pages, also on your Google profile as well, and everywhere really? Realistically, if you are using social media as well, and I'm very much a believer of social media is optional, we probably need to have a social media presence somewhere, but we don't have to be posting all the time in order to actually make the most of that. And it's not necessarily the best use of our time. And I'm a firm believer in creating content that we own first. So making sure our own house is in order, make sure our own website is in order, make sure we're spreading the word on our own website about the amazing things that we do, and then think about your social media off the back of that. Because then that way you can link back to your website and you can make the most of it, and you can keep resharing and giving ideas as well for content, that you're not then trying to reinvent the wheel every time. I think it was episode 3 of the podcast where I talked about why you don't have to just keep feeding that algorithm. I really believe in that. I think it's so important. And AI does pull from different areas. So when AI is trying to recommend businesses, it's not just about your website, but your website is the place that ties it all together. So your website is the thing that actually, that's the hub, it's an asset for your business. It's something that you own, and that's why making sure that's in order. And everywhere else that you're linking out, so all of the directory listings, all of the mentions that you're getting, if you're doing any digital PR or anything like that, bring that all back to your own website. Don't link out to your Instagram profile or your Facebook profile. Bring it all back to your own website, and then that way you're building your own authority, and you are building that as the content hub of your business, really. And it's not all about just being famous with these tools. It's not, I love that phrase of being ChatGPT famous. I'm a bit like, I don't want to be famous anyway, but actually it's not about being famous. It's about being discoverable. It's about connecting with people at the right time, connecting with people when they're actually searching for what you sell, and when they're searching for a solution to their problem, and you are that solution. And I think that's where it does become magical. If you can make sure that you are actually being discovered and that you are discoverable, then it makes such a big difference. These kind of things, I wish I'd known this back in my salon days. I wish I'd known when I was in charge of the salon website back in the salon. I wish I'd known about SEO. I wish I'd known about the power of Google Business Profiles and how much of a difference that can make to actually just getting clients coming in and finding you. So getting new inquiries every day, not having to feel like you're going out and having to fish for clients. That actually people are finding you, people are connecting with you, they're loving the look of your website. It helps them to go further along that buyer's journey. So by the time that they click on that button that says book an appointment, they already know that they want to be there. They already are excited about their appointment. They're already excited about you helping them to solve their problems, whether that problem is dehydrated skin, or they want some relaxation, or they need help, they need counselling, they need therapy, they want to buy a product, whatever it is, whatever they need help with, that they're already excited to do that when they first click on a button on your website, really. So one of the things with this, I think I would say, is it's not a gimmick. I think there's a lot of people talking about AI search now. I say that. I feel like I hear lots of people talking about it, but I think part of that is being in the online world. And actually, there are lots of people talking about it there. But a lot of businesses don't realise this, don't realise actually the power of it, have no idea how to even get started. I think that's the big thing that I learned from yesterday, is people are not only surprised about the fact that you can get ChatGPT to recommend your business, but just have no idea where to start. And that's what I want to help people with. I want to help people to understand that you can do it in bite-sized steps. It's not a quick fix, and it's not something that is going to get you famous. It's not like suddenly you're going to get famous and that's, that's going to suddenly make you a millionaire. It's a long-term strategy. The same as with SEO. It's something that, yes, you can get some quick wins, and there definitely are some things you can do to make sure that you are making the most of like the low-hanging fruit. But this is designed to be a sustainable marketing strategy, one that's going to pay dividends, not just now, but in 3, 6, 9, 12 months time and beyond, and also moving forward, so that you're not then being left behind. Because businesses that don't embrace this, businesses that don't start thinking about how can I make my business future proof, then you will suffer from this, I think, really. Yeah. So being ChatGPT famous isn't the goal, but being found, trusted, and recommended by these tools, then that's where I say it really is magical. So visit my website if you'd like to find out more about how to get ChatGPT to recommend your business, and let me know if you have any questions. And hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.